What is up, guys? Welcome back to a new video and Merry Christmas to all of you. Spider-Man No Way Home was the perfect holiday gift for every single Spider-Man or Marvel fan, but it also left us with many questions related to the futures of some of the characters. For example, what will happen to the villains that go back cured? Will they stay the same? Will they be different? How will their futures be impacted? What will happen to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man? Will Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man go back and now have a new movie released? There are still so many questions, and I'm here to answer some of them today. I'm going to be explaining the timeline problems that Spider-Man No Way Home has caused. Well, problems for Doctor Strange in the next movie. That was just pure entertainment for us. So, guys, if you aren't familiar with the concept of timelines and realities in the Marvel Universe, let me take a little recap. So, in Loki, we learned that our MCU timeline is one timeline, and that is the sacred timeline. There's a fixed set of events which is supposed to happen in the sacred timeline. If someone does something which wasn't supposed to happen, it creates a nexus event, and a small branch emerges from that timeline. That branch goes on to become a new reality. That's how different universes are formed. Then King the Conqueror and Loki, as we found out, had created the Time Variance Authority, who destroyed such timelines just when they were formed so that it doesn't lead to too many new universes. Because, as he said, a multiversal war had happened when there were so many universes. So at the end of the Loki finale, Kang the Conqueror was killed, and thus there was no one to destroy such timelines. Thus, the multiverse was formed, multiple universes existed. And this is how our Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire universe was formed. The Tom Holland universe was on one sacred timeline, and then two Nexus events must have happened, which would have led to the Tobey Maguire universe and the Andrew Garfield universe. Now, as we know that the sacred timeline is where everything was supposed to happen, this puts something into a new perspective, like the fact that Aunt May was supposed to die, and she was the one who was supposed to say with great power comes great responsibility, not Uncle Ben. That wasn't supposed to happen. That's why I created a new reality. There's a lot to think about in this, and we're gonna break it down in simple words for you guys. But also, what I said might not be true because the goblin wasn't supposed to be there. He was brought there by the spell, and etc. etc. Let's just get on with it. So, now if we think about the timeline implications, let's start with the Tobey Maguire universe. So, three characters, well, four in total, including Tobey Maguire, from that universe entered the MCU timeline and then went back. So, what implications did this have on their timeline? Well, let's start in 2002, Norman Osborn. Now he goes back to that same timeline, cured, and perhaps he will not die as a Green Goblin and go back to Oscorp and run Oscorp like the way it was. So that will definitely create a new branch reality, and this reality might be one without Doc Ock and James Franco Green Goblin, because maybe Oscorp wouldn't take part in such adventurous experiments after the Green Goblin, so Doc Ock is out of the window, and Harry Osborn will have no revenge scenario he'll have to be in, so no Harry Osborn Green Goblin. So this reality will be very different to the Tobey Maguire movies we've seen. And thus, if Doc Ock goes back to the timeline cured, in control of his arms again, the sad truth is he came back to the MCU at that moment when he had Tobey Maguire clutched in his mechanical arm. So that means his machine is still there, and he will have to drown to save his machine. So that means Doc Ock will still have to die. But there's definitely going to be something different because he's all cured now and he's in control of his arms. So that's going to create a Nexus event and a new reality as well. Now, Sandman 2 is going to go cured. That is definitely going to change his future. Maybe he can go back to living a normal life now somehow. So that will create another Nexus event and a new reality. And of course, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man himself moving out of that reality for one day. The Spider-Man being not there in a world for a day will definitely create loads of changes. And with the things he's learned here, he's probably gonna... his life would probably be changed by a bit after the experience he's had in No Way Home. So that's going to create quite a few Nexus events and different realities. Now we move on to the Andrew Garfield universe, where first of all, Rhys Ifans' Lizard will go back cured, so thus he'll probably still go to jail as he did, And since this time he's cured and after the events of No Way Home, he probably wouldn't want to be turned back into the lizard again. Thus, those plans of the Sinister Six that were forming at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2 probably wouldn't happen. That would create a Nexus reality and a new branch. And thus, when Electro goes back, Electro will not be able to absorb that energy and become into pure energy and would probably not die. So that would create a Nexus event, and that might give time for Andrew Garfield to be prepared for when Harry Osborn Green Goblin arrives so that he can save Gwen. And that would certainly create quite a few Nexus realities because we know the death of Gwen, as we found out in No Way Home, led to Andrew Garfield go down a bit of a dark path. And yeah, him going down to a dark path will not happen in that reality, and thus that might branch out into more different realities. And thus, Andrew Garfield himself not being in that reality, just like in the case of Tobey Maguire, and coming back, would definitely create a few Nexus events. And maybe he was still going down that dark path, and this experience in the Marvel Cinematic Universe changed him. Now, let's move on to the Tom Holland universe itself, because was such a spell supposed to happen, which would bring other universes people into this universe? Probably not. And now, if we put this into perspective, Aunt May maybe wasn't supposed to die. Maybe with great power comes with great responsibility wasn't supposed to happen because Green Goblin came from that universe and killed her. And maybe all of this wasn't supposed to happen. No one was supposed to forget that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. This will definitely create quite a few Nexus events and various realities. So guys, on your screen, this could be a rough version of the new timeline, the new Spider-Man timeline after No Way Home. And well, speaking of timelines, who's excited for what's about to come? Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4 might come, though it's a huge might. Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man 3 is trending right now. Everyone wants it to happen because he was pretty good in No Way Home. And of course, Tom Holland is going to have a new Spider-Man trilogy. Who knows what he's going to face, the Venom symbiote, etc. Even Andrew Garfield might face the Venom symbiote. So I'm really excited for the future of Spider-Man. I hope any confusions you had with the timeline and everything in Spider-Man No Way Home is clear now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around the channel. We have 5 more days to hit our goal of 150 subscribers. Come on guys, we can do it. So subscribe if you enjoyed. Leave a like on the video and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.